Hello, parents and carers of Giraffe Class. It's good to be presenting this for you. I'm Mrs. Ezard. I'm the head teacher here at Windlesham Village Infant School. And for now, this is my talk on starting school with us. I'm really sorry we didn't get to do this in person. But as it turns out, it's probably a good thing because we have a case in Miss Leggett's current class. We did have to close her class the week you should have come to see us. So I guess that just shows us how careful we still need to be. So for now, it's a welcome from me, even if it's virtual. The aims of this talk is to just really give you a guide on what to expect as your child starts school. Now, I'm going to do this in one hit, so if I make mistakes, I hope you'll forgive me. Here at Windlesham, we do learn from our mistakes, and it's normal to make mistakes. We're not all perfect, so bear with me if I make a mistake, okay? So you will recognise Miss Leggett, I hope. She's your class teacher. She's the deputy head. She's also the deputy designated safeguarding lead. I'm the safeguarding lead, and she is my deputy. That means that in terms of safeguarding, we have a duty of care to all the children in the school and their families. So if we have a concern, it's our job to raise that concern with you. That might mean that can be awkward and uncomfortable. Ultimately, it's all about the safety of the children. So if ever we have a concern, it is our job to deal with it. And it's good for you to know that if you had a concern about a child, you would talk to Miss Leggett or to myself in confidence. Mrs. Messenger is our new special needs coordinator. She's so new, I haven't got a photo of her yet. She's lovely. She works on a Thursday morning here. She also works at Holy Trinity Primary School as a class teacher. And it's very much a partnership with you. If your child has difficulty learning, we would want to talk to you about that difficulty, understand how things are at home with that particular aspect of their learning. So let's say it's a difficulty with their reading. We'd want to know, how is reading at home? Are they keen to read? Is it something they find hard? Is it something they're reluctant to work on at home? But it's very much a partnership with you. If we're raising a concern, it's not a criticism of your child, it's something that's stopping them making progress, and we would want to work with you to get over that barrier. And that all children have barriers with their learning, so please don't worry about it. If you have a worry, you can bring it to us. Mrs. Messenger will be very happy to talk with you and understand your concerns and try and help you. Okay? So these are the ladies you will be seeing a lot of. We've got Mrs. Waters, Mrs. Hart, Mrs. Miles, Mrs. McMahon, Mrs. Williams. You'll soon get to know their faces and their names, and they will get to know your child very well. But the key thing from all of this is you're in very safe hands. They're a very experienced team. They love working in reception, and we will take very good care of your children, I promise. It's always good to know that we're part of a bigger organisation. So Windlesham is part of the Alliance Multi-Academy Trust. That's 5 schools working together. There's Windlesham, Crawley Ridge Infants, Crawley Ridge Juniors, Connaught Junior School, and Holy Trinity Primary School. So the 5 of us work in really close partnership with each other. And then for Windlesham, we have a local academy board. They're our governors. They help me lead and manage the school. They hold me to account. And it's good to know the face and the name of our chair of governors, Mr. Alex Griffiths. If ever you had a concern that you didn't feel able to talk with me about, you could talk to Alex Griffiths. So for us, it's really important that the children have a good experience here. This is their first experience of school. And for many of you, this is your first experience of school as a parent. So these are the things we want for the children, and we want to see the children skipping into school in the morning, full of enthusiasm, and staggering out at the end of the day after a busy, active day at school. That's what we want for our children, and that's what I'm assuming you want for your children as well. So it's all about watching them grow. They will make progress at different stages in different areas. We've all got strengths and weaknesses. Ultimately, we want the children to be happy. We want them to enjoy learning. We want them to be motivated to do well. We want them to get on with each other, but we want them to be happy in their learning. Because if they're not happy and settled and feel safe, they're not ready to learn. So we've had to postpone our induction visits, and I just put these dates here just to remember. So we've got the induction visit on the 2nd of September, that's a Thursday. Half of you will come at between 9 and 10, the other half will come between 10:30 and 11:30. At this stage, it's impossible to know what COVID restrictions will be in place in September. I will keep an eye on it very carefully over the summer, but things won't be finalised by the government until the very last few days of August leading into September. So we've kept it as half the class come in for an hour at a time, just to give us that flexibility if restrictions are in place. It means we can go ahead and do it in the most secure way we can. Friday is an optional visit. It would be great if you all came. It would be a story with Miss Leggett from 2 to 2:30. I'd encourage you to come and have a cup of tea and cake with me, or water or coffee in the hall. It gives you a little chance to just get to know each other a little and start smiling at each other and working out whose mum is who. But also it means that I'm available for you to talk to if you're anxious or you just want some advice. Okay. So then I've included these in the slides. I'm not going to read them to you. You've had this information in your letter, but it's all about the start dates. Our experience here at Windlesham is that if we have a staggered start and a few children start in one go in a small group, they settle better. They don't feel overwhelmed by walking into a room all in one go, and it gives us the chance to spend a little bit of time with each group. So that's what works for us and for the children here. It's not to be difficult, but it just gives us a nice, slow, measured start. And on that first day, I will come and meet you in the entrance hall. I'll greet you all. At that point, you'll say goodbye to your children, and I will bring them through down the hall into the classroom where Miss Leggett will be ready to greet them and get them busy. Okay, so more of that in a minute. So we've changed things a little this year. There's a new reception baseline assessment and it's quite involved. So just to give us time to do that properly, because it's something the teacher will do one-to-one with the children, we will invite the children to stay for one afternoon a week, and you'll know by now what your afternoon will be. So if they stay on a Monday afternoon, that's every Monday there will be the same group of 6 children staying on a Monday afternoon to do their activities and their assessments. Now, assessments are done by talking to the children and watching them do a task. It's not a test. It's to give us a view, or the government, it's to give the government a view of how the children start school. It's a baseline, it's a starting point. Aside from that, we'll also carry out other baseline assessments, because there's all sorts of information that is helpful for us to know. You know, can your child identify colours? Can they count from 0 to 10 or beyond? Do they know any letters? Can they write their name? So there's all sorts of assessments and activities that Miss Leggett and the staff will do with the children as they're working and busy playing. A lot of our learning is done through play and reception. So they won't know they're being assessed. We wouldn't want them to feel stressed or anxious. It's not a test. It's just how they are on the day. It gives us a guideline as to things that they're good at and things they find hard, and it's our job to help them with the things that they find hard. Please don't feel that over the summer you need to teach your children letters and sounds and numbers and writing. If they've got an interest in that and you have too, great. But please don't worry about the assessment. It's just a snapshot, and we understand that 4 and 5-year-olds are different day to day. They have good days and they have bad days, and they have days when they're really motivated and really want to excel and really show you what they can do, and other days where it's all a bit of an effort. So we will take that into account, but the afternoons are so that Miss Leggett has time to do the assessments without feeling stressed. She can focus on those 6 children that are in the class that afternoon. They'll get a lot of extra attention, and we feel that's really going to help them settle. It's not something we've done before, and it will be really good to see how that helps them. It also means on their day that they stay with us all day, they'll stay for lunch. And again, you'll have 6 children staying for lunch, and that will help us train the children into how lunchtime is going to be, because those children that find starting school hard, often the classroom and the outside area is the safe bit. It's going onto the playground or going into the dinner hall that can be quite a step. It's quite a step forward to be eating lunch with 30 other children. It can be noisier, and so having the children just start in small groups, I think, is going to work really well. This is the date you need to focus on, because that's the day the children will go full time, so they'll attend every day, all day. So I don't know what your experience of school was as a pupil. Some of you will have loved school. Some of you, sad to say, probably didn't. Myself, I had quite a patchy school career. Dare I say it, I was quite naughty, depending on my teacher. But my advice to you would be, whatever your experience of school, try and put that to one side and hope you get to enjoy your child going to school. I know, speaking from my experience, and yours might be different, but I remember taking my son to school on that first day. He's now 14, taller than me, but I really remember that day. If I'm honest, part of me was excited and part of me was nervous for him. I wanted him to do well. I wanted him to cope. I didn't want him to get upset on the first day or be difficult. I wanted him to behave. All of these things I wanted for him. I tried to mask all of that. I wore a big pair of sunglasses in case I got teary-eyed saying goodbye, and I just tried to be as calm as I could. We were lucky to be able to walk to school. It was quite a walk. We'd practiced it in the summer holidays, but actually it was a really special time for me to be walking along, holding his hand, chatting about the weather, the birds, the things we passed, waving to friends we knew. But I just wanted to get him to school and be calm and wave him off and smile and say, oh, you'll have a great day, even though I knew this was going to be a step up for him. He's a December birthday, he's tall, so you would think he's older than he is, and I just hoped that people wouldn't expect too much of him because he was a tall boy and expected to be brilliant at everything. So I remember that time. So if I can advise you to do anything, it's try and put those bits aside, try and mask your own anxieties or worries, and try and enjoy the moment, okay? Because these moments go by really quickly. He's now year 9. I wouldn't dream of taking him to school anymore, but here we are. So try and be positive, mask your own concerns, have those sorts of conversations after they've gone to bed when you know they're not listening. My children are very good at listening down the stairs, so just make sure they're not listening. But if you have any concerns, of course talk about it at home and come and talk to us too. But try not to let the children know that you're worried. If you're worried, you might be feeling fantastic about school. It's going to be a great experience for them and you can't wait to get started. And if that's how you're feeling, Brilliant. So wear sunglasses if you're nervous, talk to us. It's very much about building a partnership with home and school. They spend a lot of time in one place or the other, and if we work together, it's so much easier for all of us. So really want to build trust with you, get to know you, and work in partnership. Different children react in different ways. I always smile when parents say, oh, they're nothing like their older brother, or they're nothing like their sister. I have an older sister. Certainly going through school, I thought she was near perfect. I was very different, and I always found it hard if teachers expected me to be like my sister. We're nothing like each other. And certainly here we wouldn't expect the younger one to be exactly like the older one or ones, okay? So all the children react in different ways, and there's a whole spectrum of what's considered normal in reception. Between Miss Leggett and I, we've got over 20 years experience each of working in an infant school, and this isn't a challenge to you, but we've probably seen it all before. So I can remember children that found it really hard to settle and say goodbye on day one, and you really wouldn't know it within a matter of days. You would think that everything's fine. So just trust us, okay? Build a network and look after each other. It's been really hard in COVID to connect with people and see each other and gather. So look out for each other. As a mum, I would have friends that I would always text if there was a dress-up day or a cake sale or it's mufti day. We would just remind each other, don't forget Friday, dress-up day, because you don't want to be the one that forgets. Okay, so just look out for each other. We're a really small community here, and I hope you feel that community strength when you come. So, how to prepare, but my golden rules, I guess, the big one for me is the diary and the calendar. We haven't set any of our dates in terms of when nativities or cake sales or visits will happen in the autumn term yet, because we've got to see what the guidance will be in the autumn term. But as soon as that list is made, please put it in your diary and your calendar, whether you use the Google Calendar or whether you've got a paper one, just write it down, because it's so nice when you've done that. You know you're organised, you're not going to forget a date, you're not going to be the one to forget something. So I really recommend that, please. Talk about school, about the uniform, about making friends. I can recommend some fantastic books about starting school. You only have to Google search or use any other search engine, starting school books. There's some lovely books out there, and the more you can read about being at school or talk about school, or you find your own school photos and show your children, and be careful what you tell them. Pick the good stories, pick the good memories to share with them. But that all builds that talk and that confidence and that excitement and that good vibe about starting school. Please try on the uniform and take photos way before the first day. It takes so much pressure off you. They'll be excited to put it on, but then that's one thing you don't have to worry about on the first day. And if you've printed off the picture and they have it on the fridge and they get used to seeing themselves as a school child, I think that's going to help them in September. So if you've started trying the uniform on, fabulous. Develop self-help skills. So the dressing and the undressing is really helpful if they can do that independently. Buttons are hard, and I know if there's a fly in a zip, that can be difficult too, but just you want your child to be as self-sufficient as possible. So if you can practice those skills, that would be brilliant, particularly putting on coats, turning out the sleeve so that it's ready for putting it back on at the end of the day. All of those things really, really important. Also, social skills. Now again, it's been hard in COVID. We haven't had as many play dates as you would have normally had. So sharing, saying goodbye to you when you're leaving your child with a friend or with your grandparents. they haven't had as much practice of that in the last year or two because we've all been working from home, or we've been on a lockdown, or nursery hasn't been open. So there's, you know, they need a little bit of practice of that, and we understand that. But if you can build up some practice before school, that would be brilliant, because it's all about the social skills, saying thank you, saying please, taking turns. All of these things we know some children do really, really well and other children find hard. So the more practice you get before school, the better. From our point of view, those are the key things: listening skills, talking, following instructions, recognising your own coat and putting it on yourself. All of those things will really help a smooth start to school. So if it's something your child finds hard, they need to practice. And while I think to talk about it, toileting, they need to be able to manage that themselves. So if they need to practice wiping, for example, please make sure they've got the hang of that before September. Okay? If your child finds that difficult, we'll understand, but we won't be wiping for them. If ever they have an accident, of course we would change them and we would want them to be as clean as we could, but we would be giving them the wipes and talking it through with them, and they would be cleaning themselves up, which might mean when they get home they need a shower or a bath straight away, because 4-year-olds might not have done the good quality wipe that mum or a dad or a grandma or a granddad would have done. Okay, so it's all about self-help. If you want, you could put a spare pair of pants in their book bag, because then they've got their own pants if they do have a little accident. Some of our children quite like the range of pants we have at school, so they'd rather choose some of ours to borrow and wash and bring back. But try not to worry if your child has had some accidents when they first start, because often the children are so busy in here or out in the outside area. They're so busy, they don't realise they need to go to the toilet, or it's actually a lot further than they expected to get to the toilet on time. So we occasionally have accidents, and we'll work with you and we'll talk with you about it, but try not to see it as a step back. It's just they need to remember to go to the toilet in time. And if they've been used to a nursery where the toilets are literally just next to where they're playing, they've never had to manage that quite that way. We're very good at spotting the children at jiggling, and we would know to send them straight away. But it's something to practice over the summer. Okay. I would recommend practicing the journey to school. It took me, the first time I walked with my children to the school my son was going to, it was in the summer holidays. I didn't take the pushchair for my younger one. I told myself I was not going to harass the children or make them march quickly. I was going to go at their pace, try and keep walking, because I wanted to see what the worst case scenario was going to be, how long it would take me to get from the front door to the school gate. It took a lot of patience, because I'm a really fast walker, so I can do the walk in 15 minutes. It took my children and I 45 minutes to get there, and it was agony at times, but it made me realise that I needed to leave myself 45 minutes to get there. To make life easier, I might have got my daughter to go in the pushchair, use the buggy board for my son if we had to really go for it. So just try those journeys. Most of you will have to drive because of where you live, or because of logistics. You've got to drop the younger one or the older one somewhere else after here. So just practice that journey. Traffic's always lighter in the summer holidays, so make sure you allow for that, because it's horrible starting school when you're late. And if your child is routinely late, they are missing learning every day. So please practice that. I would recommend packing bags and lunch boxes the night before. I would always make my children's packed lunch and leave it in the fridge ready, because in the morning I just had to grab it, put it in the bags, and we were ready to go. School bags, my school bag included, if I was working that day, would be by the door, and I would even choose my outfit the night before, so that in the morning we had enough time to get ready, but we didn't have time to faff around. So I'd recommend that to you. It's so nice when you know you're that organised. I'll talk a bit about the BBC Bite Size website later. I'll show it to you, and read books about school. Okay, the more talk you can do, if you're driving in the area and you go past our school, point it out, get used to saying, oh, there's your school. So, oh, did I skip a page? No, okay. So this is the BBC website, okay, so it's Bite Size. If you're searching, you could put BBC Bite Size Starting School. There are all sorts of talks from parents. There's some games and quizzes and things, but if you can spend some time on this, there's some really good advice from parents. And it's nice to listen to a different voice and get a different perspective. You don't just take my word for it. So I really recommend that to you. Communication is really key. So we will communicate with you. The main point of communication is a Friday. We send a Friday newsletter to you by email, and I really hope you read it, because I try and include everything. And we try not to send other emails the rest of the week. So you know you're getting a Friday email with an update and the things for the week ahead, but we won't send out emails the rest of the week unless we have to, unless there's something urgent or something we really want you to know. We'll have parents' evening in the autumn term once the children have settled. We have the PTA newsletters that's on the end of our newsletters. Our website has a lot of information, and we've given you a parent handbook. So anything that I haven't covered in here, please look at the parent handbook, because that's an easy how-to guide. And if you want to know something, try looking in there or our website before you call and ask, okay? All right. So just some basics when you start. If your child is going to be absent, there's an app. If you've got the Parent Mail app, you can just message through that. It saves you the bother. It's very quick. And if your child is ill, you're probably trying to organise your day around them being ill. So that's a quick thing to do. It's our job to account for all the children every day. So once we've done the register, if a child is absent and there's no message for us, we'll be phoning to say, is everything okay? What's wrong? So please use that, because we'll be keen to know why they're not in school. We need at least 2 emergency contacts for every child. That's so that if there is an emergency, if your child is being sick, or worst case scenario, your child's broken their leg, of course we'll hope to goodness that never happens, but when we need you, we need to be able to get hold of you, or your neighbour, or your friend, or your child's grandparents, or an auntie. So it's got to be someone that could come and collect your child if you're stuck somewhere. So let's say you've gone to Manchester for the day on business and you're nowhere to be, you just can't get to us. Someone that you trust who will care for your child can come and get them. So it's really key. And I do understand, I've got a good friend whose family, one set lives in Manchester and one set lives on the coast. So the whole time when our boys were little, I was the 3rd emergency contact, because I was often at home. I was on a bit of a career break. I didn't work very often. So she knew that I could be contacted, so that if her son was poorly, I'd promised faithfully that I would pick him up if he was being sick. Thank goodness, he's a really healthy boy. I never got called on, but I was there for my friend because she couldn't rely on the grandparents in Manchester or the grandparents on the coast. So just have a think about who you could contact. Holidays, please be honest. Of course, it's my job to expect everyone will come to school every day unless they're poorly. Obviously in COVID times, we are more cautious than we used to be. I'm very much one who, if I have a cold, which doesn't happen very often, I'll get on with it. Since COVID, of course, we've had to be more cautious, and there are times when we've asked parents not to send their child in. And of course, we've been asking people to get tested, whereas before we had the pandemic, we would say, look, if they're fine in themselves, if they're a little bit sniffly, we don't mind, just bring them in. That's different. But holidays, please be honest. There's a yellow form to be filled in. You are requesting an authorised absence. You need to put your reasons why you want the time off, and then it's my decision whether I'm able to authorise it or not. And exceptional circumstances aren't just about it's grandma's 80th birthday and the whole family are getting together. Yes, that's exceptional for grandma, but it's my job to insist that the children come to school. So I'm not always able to authorise the absence, but I always appreciate the honesty. So I would just say, you know, I empathise with you, but I can't authorise. If it's less than 5 days over the school year where you're requesting this absence, even if I don't authorise it, you won't be liable for a penalty notice, for a fine. If your child is not yet school age, then it's more straightforward, because the child is school age, statutory school age, in the term after they're 5. So if you've got a summer birthday child and you want to go away for a few days, I have to authorise it because they're not yet school age. Okay, but please be honest. Please, one thing that's really important to me personally is honesty and trust. If you tell me some convoluted story about why they're not in school or that they're ill, when they come back to school and we say, oh, welcome back, we missed you, are you better? They will say, oh, I've been fine, I went camping with Auntie Susan. And that's when you and I are going to need a conversation, okay? So just be honest, because your child will tell the truth, and I wouldn't assume you would teach your child to lie just because of a holiday form, okay? We're not those sorts of people, right? So be honest, please. Okay. If you change your phone number and your address, please keep us up to date. If you move house, let us know. If routinely someone different is going to collect your child, say every Tuesday it's grandma that's going to pick up, let us know. Miss Leggett will write it on her clipboard that she has with her in the morning, and we'll know every Tuesday is grandma day. If you are going to lift share, or there's a number of you that help each other out, you could write us a letter to say these 4 families work together, any one of the 4 parents or carers can pick up any one or all of the 4 children, and we would have that on file, and we would know that the Smith family lift share with the Jones family. So if Mrs. Smith comes, she's come to pick up the Smiths and the Jones, or the other way around. Okay, so if you've got these arrangements, if you haven't told us, and someone comes to pick up your child that we're not expecting, we wouldn't let them go to them. We would have to check. So we would be very polite, but say, I'm awfully sorry, we were expecting Mum today. Could you please go and wait in the office? We're going to have to call and check. Okay, even if your child is jumping up and down saying, but that's Auntie, I love her, I'm going to her house for tea. We've got to double check, because it's really important that we safeguard the children at home time, and we make sure that they've gone to the right adult. On that note, when the children come to go home, they line up, and we will line them up near the gate where you will be waiting. But we train the children not to step out of the line until we've said their name. So we'll have a line of children waiting. We'll have a group of parents waiting for us. Now, some of you will know already, because we were lucky enough to teach the older child or older children, so we'll know you straight away. Especially in the early days, you're going to have to help us remember which adult is with which child. So you would just say your child's name, but we'll do that one by one. So we will train the children not to step out of the line until the teacher has said their name, because they'll see you, they'll all want to go to you, and we will not know for sure that each child has found the right adult. Okay, so just help us out in those first few days. Don't call to them until you know that we've said, right, Lucy, I see Mummy, you can go. All right, just help us, because it's stressful for us when we don't know you so well. Miss Leggett knows you a little bit better than I do, but particularly when I'm dismissing class, because I would dismiss any one of the classes here. You just need to help me tune in and just help us make sure the children are going to the right parents, okay? So work with us on that one. If you're on a waiting list for another school, I think those that are have told us. We hope that you stay here and you love it. But it's just helpful to know if you're waiting for a school space elsewhere, just keep us in the loop, okay? It won't change how we treat you or how we treat your child. It just helps us anticipate if there's going to be any changes. Oh, I skipped a bit. Complaints procedure. So I would hope that you never feel the need to complain, but I've learned over my career it's impossible to keep all 107 families happy at the same time. If there is something that's worried you, upset you, annoyed you, I would encourage you to come and talk with us and we'll talk it through, because it's hard sometimes, and if there's been a miscommunication or something you're anxious about, we would much rather talk it through, have the chance to listen to your side of things and try and put it right. So if you had a worry about your class, you would need to talk to Miss Leggett first. I wouldn't want you to come and see me before you've seen Miss Leggett. As the class teacher, you know your family's best and you want to give your families the opportunity to raise things with you and talk things through. Okay, so you would talk to Miss Leggett first. If you felt Miss Leggett hadn't answered your question, then you could come and bring it to me. That doesn't happen very often here. So I would hope that we can just talk things through. If you're not satisfied with how I've dealt with it, you would then talk to Alex Griffiths, the Chair of Governors. Okay, so I always explain that to parents in the hope that you never feel the need to complain. Let's hope that we manage to keep you happy for the whole time you're here. We'll try our best to do that, but it's good for you to know there is a complaints procedure. Okay, and it's on our website. Last one. If you're arranging play dates on a Friday, certainly when I was at home, that was the most likely time to do a play date. It would be really helpful if you arrange it before that Friday, because I know when I first came here, Friday afternoons were just a flurry of emails and phone calls to say, oh, I've just arranged more for my child to go home with so-and-so, I haven't told them. And it was just a lot of work for us. So, you know, by all means, arrange your play dates. Great to get together and be sociable. But if you could tell Miss Leggett or the staff at drop-off that there's a play date and somebody is going home with somebody else, she'll write that on the board. The children will remind her all day from about 9:05, I'm going home today with Lucy. But it's just handy to know beforehand. If you forget, of course, email in, but it would just be really helpful if you could tell us beforehand, okay? Just to save, Friday afternoons are quite busy for me, so if I don't have to answer the phone, that's great. Okay, just checking. So uniform is available from Kids Biz. You can book online, you can order online. Some things I wanted to point out to you. You don't have to buy the school coat. You're very welcome to. It's a great coat and it's reversible. But if you've got a coat that fits your child, let them wear it. I don't mind what colour the coat is. I want the children to feel warm and comfy. And actually, if they're all different colours, it will help your child find their coat on their peg. If you have bought a school coat, brilliant. Make sure it's named. I think the name label is in one of the pockets, which isn't ideal, but please name it. The other thing we recommend is putting some ribbon or a zip puller on it so that it's easy to pick out, okay? While I think of it, girls can wear trousers in the winter. If they're the sort of girl that doesn't really like tights and dresses, they can wear smart trousers, and you can get them from any of the stockists. It doesn't have to be the uniform shop. You can get them in John Lewis, Marks and Spencer's, Sainsbury's, Tesco, you name it. You know this already, okay? Please, 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 please name everything. I think when my children first started school, I was sewing everything on, and I hate sewing. As things evolved and I got busier, I would just get a laundry pen and write their name in there. And I still do that now, much to their horror. They're at secondary school. Please name everything. I've even named socks, just put their initials on the bottom. It's likely in September that when it's a PE day, we'll ask the children to come to school in their PE kit, so there'll be less need for getting changed. That gives us more time to teach, and obviously in COVID we're trying not to get so close to the children all of the time, and it's just been easier for the children to come to school in their PE kit. If your child is wearing a dress, pinafore dress, you'll probably find a plain polo shirt is fine, because they won't see the logo underneath the pinafore. Okay. Now, earrings. Earrings are not allowed in school for children. Most children that have their ears pierced can just take them out for the day, and that's fine. If that's an issue for you, I've put this in large. These are silicone. They're clear, and they've got a flat front, so they don't catch, they're safe. If your child absolutely has to wear earrings because the hole will dry up, please buy these. I happen to have bought mine for my daughter on Amazon. Other retailers are available. Okay, so just please do that, because they won't be coming to school in earrings ever. Hair needs to be tied back. If it's long, doesn't matter, boy or girl, hair tied back, please, in blue, grey, white or black. So I've put some examples of things you can buy. The plainer the better. We don't want massive big bows on heads, because it's a huge distraction, not just to your child, but to the rest of the class, and there'll always be a little bit of bow envy. And I would like the children to concentrate on their learning and not be distracted by being envious of someone's massive bow. Okay, so just sensible, please, with your hair ties. We love Velcro. Please, 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 Velcro shoes and Velcro trainers. You can get plimsolls, but actually we prefer trainers. Doesn't matter what colour, the plainer the better, because they're easier for the children to get on and off, and they're more supportive than plimsolls. And that's just an example of a laundry marker. Okay, I find them life-changing. So coats. These are the things I was talking about. They clip to the zip. I meant to bring one to show you. I've got a nice poppy one that I buy around a Remembrance Day, but it just clips to the zip here, and it just makes it a bit more distinctive for your child. So if you've bought a school coat, if you tie a coloured ribbon to the zip or have one of these, it's just easier for your child to spot that's theirs, because if you all go and buy a blue school coat, there are 30 school coats, and it's unlikely that they'll all put it on the right peg in those early days. Okay, the children will be outside every day, so they need to have layers as the seasons change, but we would expect them to be outside. Okay, school lunches. It's your choice here whether your child has a packed lunch or a school dinner. It's what you know your children will eat. We want them to eat well at school as best they can. We don't want anyone hungry. So if your child, like my youngest, is particularly fussy, it might be easier to go down the packed lunch route. However, here you do have a choice, because when they first start staying, it's not going to be that long before you pick them up. So many of our parents try a hot dinner in those early days, and if it's a disaster, we'll tell you. So if they're eating enough, we won't tell you, but if we notice that the children are really picky or they're just not eating, we'll let you know, and then at least you've tried it. But it's completely up to you. The meals are cooked on site. They're very nice. The kitchen staff are lovely with the children, and on special days like Easter or Children in Need Day, they'll often do a special biscuit for the children, which is really nice. If it's a packed lunch, obviously no nuts. We've got a number of children in school with a nut allergy. If your child has an allergy, please make sure we know about it and we know how to spot the signs and what to do about it. We have all had Jextapen and EpiPen training, but it's really key that we know that information. If your child is gluten-free, dairy-free, vegetarian, pescatarian, only eats halal meat, that's fine. We can cater for that. You just need to be very clear with what your instructions are, okay? If you are a lower income family, in your pack you had a form about your national insurance number. Not because I'm particularly nosy, but there's a confidential service where you'll give us permission to check your national insurance number. If your child qualifies, we get extra money in school to support your child and the other children. So it's another bit of funding that school gets. So that's why we've asked for your national insurance number in the packs. Okay, so if you think you might be eligible, it doesn't hurt to fill it in, because we run it through a checking service, and if you're not eligible, your child won't qualify and it just comes back as negative. Okay. Yeah. There's no dinner money. At the moment, the government are still funding meals for children at school. So you might find that it's an easy thing to do that they have the dinners. It's a 3-week set menu, a rolling menu, so you can just look to see what the week is. It's some of the children really enjoy it if mum or dad at home says, oh, it's pasta today. They're looking forward to that. Wednesday is normally a roast dinner day, and that's very popular with the children. Of course, when the children first start, we will help them cut things up. Over time, they will get better at doing things themselves, but if it's a nice crispy roasted potato, it can be hard to cut. We know that, and we'll help them. Okay, I just wanted to show you some pictures of the children on their first days, okay, just to prove they do smile, all right? So I can think of children in our school now that really cried when it was time to say goodbye. And most of the children, by the time mum or dad or grandma have gone, they've stopped crying. Certainly before we get across the school hall and into the classroom, it's very rare that the children will carry on crying. We don't want them to cry. We want them to be happy at school. So for us, the key thing is getting them busy on that first day. They'll have a nice, calm, smiley welcome from all of us, and we'll get them busy. So if that's been difficult for you, and I know what it's like, and you've left and your child has been tearful, we will phone you to say they're absolutely fine. They're playing on the carpet with the fairies and the shapes, or they're busy painting. If you can't settle, you can always phone us. We'll understand. So if you just need to know they're okay, we will put the phone down, come and check, phone you back just to say, yeah, I've gone to look at him and he's fine. And we'll be honest. So if they are still a little bit fragile, we'll let you know. But these days, you know, that doesn't last long, and we'll work with you on that. But I just wanted to show you the children get really busy. The first days look very much like nursery, preschool. We want them to be active, we want them to be chatting together, we want them to be sharing and taking turns. We recognise that can be hard, especially when you first get here and everything's new and you want to do everything at once. But we'll really support the children. So I just wanted to show you that in those first few days there's lots of activities for them to do. Miss Leggett's very arty, so she likes to have lots of pictures up, so there'll be lots of painting and things to do with the children, and we get that work up on the wall very quickly so that they think, oh, that's my picture up there, I remember doing that. And then we'll start to build in a little bit of routine, but the first few days are very much about setting the boundaries, understanding what the rules are and why we have them, catching them being good. Praising the children is so much easier. If we say, oh my goodness, look, the front row's sitting beautifully. Anyone who was wriggling on the back row will suddenly sit up because they want Miss Leggett to notice that they're also sitting nicely. So all being well, and there's no staggered starts that we have to do or different bubbles, let's assume that at 8:30 we open the school gates. So Miss Leggett is at the front of the school, and Zebra Class will also come in at the front of the school, and then Lion Class and Hippo Class will come in at the back. Okay, so if you have a child further up the school, it might be that you say goodbye to both of them at Miss Leggett's gate, and the older one walks round to their classroom because they're very familiar with the school building, and that's their job, and they quite enjoy walking their sibling to the gate, to the door, and then going on to their class. So that might be an option if you're thinking, how can I be at two places at once? I've got to be at the front gate and the back gate. So the first session, Miss Leggett would have welcomed you on the gate and talked to the children, and we're really trying to build that greeting. So we will want to be greeting the children and see the children make eye contact with us and greet us, say goodbye to you, and come on in. When they come to the classroom, their first job is to put their water bottle down, find their name and stick it on the wall, put their reading folder in the box, go and hang their coat up, and of course wash their hands. So that morning routine is established fairly early. And then there's always a job for them to do with the teaching assistant while Miss Leggett's still on the gate. Miss Leggett will shut the gate at 8:40 because she's got to get on with their day. She'll come into the classroom, do the register. Now our registers are electronic, so she's able to do that really quickly. And at register time, we'll be checking who's a hot dinner and who's a packed lunch. So if you're always going to be one or the other, that's great, because we'll set that and we'll just double check. Some people maybe they do a hot dinner on a Wednesday for roast dinner day, the rest of the week packed lunch. That's fine, but if you could stick to a pattern, that makes life a lot easier for us. So all of those admin tasks are done, and then Miss Leggett would start the morning. So as soon as she's done the register, she hits enter, that's done. She would then start explaining what the day is going to be like and what we're going to be learning or practicing or doing. And of course, in those early days, the children have a shorter attention span. So we want carpet time to be successful. We want them to be nice and still and listen, but we're not going to keep the carpet time long, because we want them to get busy and active. Half of the class will then go and learn outside, half of the class will stay and learn inside. So it's a lot calmer, it's nice and quiet. There's a maximum of 15 children in each area, so less to share, less noise, and that's how we like it. So there'll be a busy first session before fruit and milk time. So the NHS deliver fruit to us every day. At the beginning of term, it's raisins on day 1, and then on day 2 we'll get an order of something else. So it's generally things like easy peel citrus, apples, bananas, pears. In the summer we sometimes have tomatoes or strawberries. If your child likes all fruits, great. Towards the end of the week, of course, we might have some bananas left over from Wednesday and apples for Thursday, so the children have a choice between apples and bananas. We'll encourage the children to have fruit. We can't make them eat, but at 10:15 I know I'm hungry, so we would encourage the children to have some fruit. So if that's something your child's not great at, maybe practice eating fruit over the summer would be brilliant. We help peel, say, the easy peel citrus and the bananas, will start them off, but over time we'll be encouraging them to do more and more for themselves. But they'll have a snack. If they only eat grapes or they only eat bananas, I would encourage you to send that piece of fruit in every day. Bananas are great because you can write their name on it in biro. If it's grapes, put them in a pot with a name on it, please. Okay? No yogurt covered raisins or muesli bars or yo-yos. It's a piece of fruit. Okay? And if your child doesn't want a piece of fruit, okay. You can subscribe to milk. My daughter was never good at drinking, and so I subscribed to the milk because she really liked milk, and I knew she would have that much to drink at playtime, mid-morning. And that happened right up until she was in year 5 or year 6, so that worked really well for me. Before they're 5, it's free. After they turn 5, it's subsidised, but if I remember rightly, it was probably £15 or £20 for the whole year. My daughter, because she was quite fickle, I would pay half-termly, just in case I paid and then she decided she didn't want it anymore. Okay. Then we have playtime, and all being well, we'll all play together in the playground. If COVID restrictions are still in place, we'll have a different section for a reception to the rest of the school. Between playtime and lunch, we have the second session, so the activities we've started will continue. Then we have lunch. And of course, in the early days, most will go home and a small group will stay for lunchtime. The lunchtime supervisor is always the learning assistant for the day, so there'll be always someone on duty that knows your child well. Okay, so that's important for you to know. After lunch, we'll have from 1 to 2:30 is the third session, and then we'll have tidy up time. We like to end with a story. We like to give the children a nice end to the story. And home time, and I've reminded you about not calling your child when we first go out. Okay. Now, if your child is one of those children that doesn't like to share stuff at school, you know, that can be hard. I used to ask my son, oh, did you have a good day? You know, what did you do? And he'd typically say, I don't know. He'd actually been really busy. He just couldn't be bothered to tell me. It's not easy having a mum as a teacher, so I think for him, school was his place, and I didn't need to know about it. So it might be that when you say to your child, did you have a lovely day? They might hopefully say yes, but they won't tell you anything else. So I would even see that he'd got paint up his arm, and I'd say, have you done any painting today? No. I never did see the painting he did, but he definitely didn't tell me about it when he was in reception. We have forest school here, and that typically happens one morning each week at the moment, and the children rotate. So we've got 4 classes in the school, so 1 week in every 4 will be your forest school time. As well as that, the children go on an autumn walk with Miss Leggett to find signs of autumn. This is our field, which is next to our copse, and we're hoping that our forest school leader, she's been on a sabbatical this year, and we've had her friend Derek, who's been brilliant. Vicky, when she comes, I don't know whether she'll bring her TP or not, but typically the session starts with an invitation to do something. Being forest school, it's completely child-led, so they might very politely ignore the invitation to do something specific and just go and explore. They absolutely love the tyre, and they've made other swings, learning how to do the knots. A big feature of forest school is our ditch. Now, before we did forest school, we never went in the ditch. That was on the risk assessment as a big hazard, and we never went there. In forest school, the children need to learn how to climb in and out safely. There are ropes there for helping. If the water's too deep, if there's been a lot of rainfall, we don't go in the ditch. Otherwise, the children absolutely love the ditch. So, you know, we ask please send them in their garden clothes. Clothes that you don't mind are going to come back muddy. We have waterproof trousers, so if it's been wet or we know it's going to rain, we'll lend them school waterproof trousers. But if they have their own, brilliant. On your forest school day, they wouldn't come to school in their uniform. They'll come to school in their garden clothes, because we want them to be warm and comfy, and we don't want to be fretting that they've just got their white polo shirt smothered in mud. Okay, so send things in that you don't mind if they get muddy. We have wraparound care. So we've asked you recently about Breakfast Club, because there's a worry from SEL that it's not being used that much. So if you are interested or you need it, please make it clear, because it's a case of use it or lose it. Okay, so the more people using it, the better. It runs really well. Complete coaching, offer childcare from 3 till 6 here. There's a flexi system, so you can pay for the first hour, 3 till 4, on one tariff. If you need longer, you pay a different charge. But they're lovely with the children, and the children really enjoy going there. So that's a real bonus for us, because the children have a great start, great end to the day. Great start to the day, great end to the day. So if you need it, it's there for you. Okay, and just to share with you, one of our Giraffe dads designed this, so thank you to you. We've got the Friends of Windlesham Village Infant School. We sometimes shorten that to FOVIS. They are our PTA. We help out at events, the teachers help out at events, but it's the friends that run them. So things like Christmas fairs, summer fair, the ball that they host at Windlesham Golf Course every 3 years. Those sorts of events are socials, and they're fundraisers. You as parents will also arrange your own get-togethers. So there might be a giraffe dad's curry night, or a giraffe mum's drinks. And we encourage you to do that when, of course, we're allowed to, but it gives you the chance to socialise without us, and it just encourages that community feel. Okay, so look out for anything from FOVIS. It'll be about an event that you can come to, things like fireworks night, are really well attended, really well run events. Of course they raise money for school, which is really helpful, but it's also about getting together as a community. Okay, so I'm hoping I've made you feel a bit better about starting school and told you everything you need to know for now. In the autumn, very early into the term, I'll talk to you about the sorts of things the children learn, the different areas of the early years foundation stage curriculum, what you would see in the classroom. We'll also share with you videos about how we teach early reading, writing, number. So all of that to come, but for now, hopefully you'll realise you're in safe hands with very experienced staff who love teaching reception. The children learn an enormous amount in reception. It's hugely gratifying as a teacher to see how much they grow and develop over time. And in the summer, when we're looking back on the photos of those early days, it's lovely to see how far they come in a year. So you're in safe hands. We want this to go well. We want you to feel relaxed and able to trust us with your children. We want your child to feel safe and settled and secure and happy. We want them to skip into school. We want them to do their best for Miss Leggett. And it's all about working together. So if you can build those self-help skills, talk about school, brilliant. And we'll work on all the rest from September onwards. So don't feel you've got to spend the summer practicing writing. It's all about self-help skills, talking about school and emotions and all of those things, talking about, what you're doing in the day, because that's what we do in school, lots and lots of talk. And we're really looking forward to having you here at school. We're looking forward to the year ahead. We'll see what the COVID restrictions are, if there are any, in September, and we'll be in contact just before you start school. So we're looking forward to welcoming you on the 2nd, that you come and visit. If you have any questions over the summer, jot them down, ask us when you start, okay? We'll answer them and we'll talk things through, but I'm hoping this advice has been helpful to you. One last thing I forgot to show you. Water bottles. We sell these. This isn't the big sell. You can get whatever water bottle you want, but please make sure it's sturdy. Please don't buy those squidgy ones that kind of collapse, and are sort of novelty ones. They never last, and as soon as they drop, they shatter. So plastic, please, with a sports lid, not with a screw top. And if you've got several, that'd be great. Again, permanent pen or sticky labels, please name everything before school, okay? And have a great summer. I hope it's sunny and fun and sociable and healthy and COVID free. And we'll see you in September. Okay, bye-bye.